I put down some e.l.f. concealer, and now we're just gonna pat it in and then prep our eyes. You have it all buffed in, we're not going to set it, we're going to go straight in with our first eyeshadow. So the first shade that we are going to dip into is our bronzer shade. For my bronzer, I'm going to be using the MAC in shade Dark Tan, and we're going to use a big fluffy brush like this. And we're first going to start right in the beginning of the eyebrow to give us that effect of a snatched nose. So that's where we're going to start off first. And you could brush it into your eyebrow a little bit. So now that we defined that, now we're going to bring this color on top of where our crease is. As you can see, this is my crease, so I'm going to put the shade above it right here. And you're just going to press it in. Diffuse the edges ever so slightly, and you're going to bring it up a little bit to your brow bone. As you can see, I'm slowly pushing it up, and now we're going to put it on the outer, and we're going to drag it out a little bit. So packing it on. And dragging it out. And the reason I drag it out to my temple, just so when you are doing your contour and your bronzer, it all, you know, seems uniform. Sometimes the eyeshadow may end and then you have that little space in between. So you just want to make sure that you blend it into your temple so it looks a lot more seamless when you are, you know, finishing up your look. I'm going to go into the Coffee Shop palette. If you don't have this palette, here are the shades. So the shade that I'm going to go into first now, I'm going to start deepening up the crease. So the shade that we are going into is this shade right here. And I am using an M506 brush from Morphe. It is just a small, dense brush. Right where our crease is. So we're going to tap it in. The edges, you're going to go back with that fluffy brush. And you're going to go straight in and diffuse those edges. Go with another M506 brush, and I'm going to dip into this shade. And you're just going in small circular motions, side to side. Now to get a sharp crease, I'm going to take a Q-tip with some micellar water, and I'm going to clean it up to really define our shape. I'm going to go with Blank Canvas Paint by P. Louise, and I'm going to go with a half circle angled brush. So I just put it in the back of my hand and really get it into my brush so it's really thin. Now you're going to start packing it on. This is self-drying, so you want to make sure you work a little bit fast. With this product, you don't want to just glide through. You want to stamp it and then push the product down and then work in small layers like that, because it's thick, so it's not going to glide on like if it was like a concealer consistency. A lot of people make the mistake of not blending the paint on top of the eyeshadow. So you really want to mesh it in, because if not, it's not going to blend well in that area. Especially since the paint is self-drying, you want to make sure it is buffed out. So when we pack our eyeshadow, it really sticks just like if it was a primer. So you want to make sure the edge is really buffed out into the eyeshadow. Now when you're done cutting your crease, I'm going to go into the bright palette, and I'm going to be taking this white shade. Now with this white shade, I'm going to start it in the inner corner. Now I'm going to go into the shade Nothing Else. And again, we're going to pack it onto the lid right after that white color. We're going to go back into the Coffee Shop palette, and we're first going to start off with this dark color. And we're going to really put this in the edge of our cut crease. I'm going to go into the brown shade. We're using the same shades we used to start off blending with. And now I'm going to put this on top of that darker shade, just to start blending it in. You're tapping the shade onto the lid. Again, we didn't set that paint, so the eyeshadow is adhering on just like if it were a primer. Now we're going to go into our bronzer shade. And now we're going to diffuse that dark brown. So you could just pack it on top. Pack it on top of that color and then start blending it in. You could really keep it matte, or you could add a shimmer on top, and that's what I'm really deciding. So I am going to leave it matte, but we are going to add an eyeliner. If you choose to, you really could add a really nice white shimmer or a shimmer shade that's close to that pale nude. That will really make it pop even more, but for now we're going to keep it matte. For eyeliner, I am using the e.l.f. eyeliner. For primer, I'm using the Essence Glow Serum Primer. This is good for those who like something very hydrating while leaving a little bit of tackiness, and it's very lightweight. It does not feel heavy. I would really say this is a dupe for the Glow Recipe. For foundation, I'm going to use the Born This Way foundation. Now I'm going to be using a Mang brush just to buff in our foundation. So this is the new Morphe Sudden Heat Creamy Bronzer Stick. I got the shade Spark, so we're just going to try it out. Feels really creamy. Let's see how it blends out. So I blended out really nice, very easy. I know they do have limited shade range, but if you do find your shade, I do recommend It is really creamy. The color works just fine for my skin tone. For blush, I'm going to be using the e.l.f. Putty in Turks and Caicos. For concealer, I'm going to use the shade Vanilla in Born This Way and the shade Light Ivory from e.l.f. In a Mang concealer brush. For powder, I'm going to use the Morphe in the shade Translucent. So now I'm going to use another Mang brush, and I'm going to take my MAC for my bronzer. My nose, and you want to just drag it to the side, drag it down to the side. For blush, I'm going to use my Depotted the Sahara Volume 2 from Juvia's Place. I think it's discontinued. Now I'm going to bake with the e.l.f. HD powder. Compared to the Dermablend, I feel like these ones are a tie. The Dermablend might be a little bit more pigmented, but this one is really good. I want to put this under my eye just for any fallout, since we are going to do the under eye. So for the under eye, you could really go in with the P. Louise Blank Canvas if you want a pop in your eyes to make them look bigger, or you could go the more sultry route and put black. So I'm really deciding which way I want to go, since I did add on the inner cat eyeliner, which is basically my signature. So I'm debating. So I've decided I'm just going to go in with the black, and I'm just using the Inglot gel liner with a, I know this is a Morphe brush, the numbers came off, but it's very tiny. Your eyes do get watery, I recommend doing this step before you do your base. Now I'm going to take an angled brush like this, and I'm going to take a black. You could take a black from any palette, and I'm going to put this in our lash line close to our waterline, and we're going to diffuse it with one of the browns that we used on our lid. That now we're going to diffuse the edges of the black with one of the brown. Now I am using a PC38 brush from Peaches and Cream, a very detailed small brush. I'm going to take the lightest shade in the palette, so this one, side to side. You're going right on top of that black edge and diffuse. Going to take a fluffy brush and wipe away the bake. Highlighter, I'm using the Ultra X Nikki Tutorials highlighter. These are the lashes that I'm going to use. I got these on AliExpress. I'll be using the AOA Super Glue. I'm going to use a dark brown lip liner. You could really put a nude in the center or a red. Like, this look is really customizable and can be tailored to anything. And I hope you enjoyed watching.